Hi, this is Vika
and Linda Bull with John Broughton on Retrospectives
on KC Radio 97.7 FM, celebrating 25 years on the air. Congratulations, John.
Let me wait until you're strong. I hope it's not too long. Let me know if you're alone before I come to take you.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. This may sound silly, but my copy of this new album came to me on a Friday, and I purposely waited till Sunday morning, the following Sunday morning, to sit down and listen to it for the first time. And it just sounded like the perfect record for the perfect time, considering it all was all born out of your Sunday morning online sessions. Does that make sense to you, that certain music can sound better at a certain time?
Yeah.
So it wasn't so silly.
Yeah, you go, Lily. No, I think so. I think music sort of places you in different, memories and places all the time. So that's good. I think it does sound it is meant for a Sunday morning record, actually. A lot of people are doing the same thing as you, John.
Oh, that's good to know.
We get a lot of feedback about, people waiting for Sunday to play. Yeah.
Hey, like everyone, your plans for 2020 got derailed, and but what you've done here is make something extremely positive out of a negative situation. Was there a light bulb moment when you decided to turn these Sunday morning sessions into an album?
Yep, there was, John. It was like during the lockdown. So we're doing our Sunday Sing Song during the first lockdown in March, and then we thought, maybe we should make a gospel record. I mean, we were going to make one, but I think that this forced kind of situation that we found ourselves in brought it forward. And so when we went into second lockdown, we thought, okay, let's handpick, let's find some songs that we want to make, that we want to put on a gospel record. So that's what we did. And then we just made the record. Our piano player did all the tracks up in New South Wales and sent them down to Victoria, and we sang them here and made a record. So it kept us up, it kept us positive and kept us working, and it was a very it was a fun thing to do, during a pretty depressing time.
In a strange sort of a way, has it been kind of like a blessing in disguise, because you keep such a busy touring schedule normal, and you probably has prevented you from taking time to sit down and record, because it's been a long time since your last actual studio recording, hasn't it?
Yes, it's been 14 years, John. Yeah. It's a long time between drinks. So, yes, it has been a blessing in disguise. Vika and I have found ourselves to have been a sort of sparked a creative run for us that I guess we hadn't had time to do before, because we were always on a plane or going somewhere working for other people. That's our job. But being stuck at home kind of made us look at our record collections and made us think about what we wanted to put on albums, and it's been really wonderful, actually. We've been doing lots of artwork, making merchandise, thinking of different ways to work, and I've really quite enjoyed it.
I'm guessing gospel music was a big part of your childhood for both of you?
Well, it was the Tongan church, John. It was, not so much the gospel music that we sing. The style that we sing is kind of like a southern, America, from the America's South. And, we like those belters like Mahalia Jackson and Sister Rosetta Starr and Aretha Franklin. We love those singers. But our thing when we were growing up was very much going to church every Sunday with Mum and sitting down and listening to the Tongan choir. So, the Tongans are great harmonisers, so we got to experience that and how harmony worked, and it was a big education for us. So we were really lucky that we had that. We had our mother to teach us how to sing in harmony, yeah.
I got the impression with those Sunday morning sessions, there was a lot of planning that went into place with those. It wasn't just a matter of switching on your camera and away you go. Is that pretty much how it was?
Yes, I'm glad you picked that up, John. It was a lot of planning, wasn't it, Vic? We had to plan our song in advance, the player that was going to play it. We had to choose a track, and send it to that player. Then they had to send it back. Then we had to, make sure that the devices were all working when we needed them to. And there were many times when they weren't. I think we filmed a few sing-songs sideways and things like that. But, it was also preparation of our voices. We had to get up extra early to warm them up. I had to vacuum my lounge room repeatedly over many weeks. So, and it was a family affair too. My children were involved heavily.
Yeah.
One of my eldest daughter filmed in the background, and the other made tea and made sure we all, fed and watered. So our manager would, have a hand in a lot of things too. She oversaw the whole thing with Vika and I, and Vika would always come over with tasty treats, which was terrific because Vika's got great taste in food, and it was wonderful.
Ricotta donuts. Let me tell you, John. The amount of ricotta donuts we bought.
Yeah.
Like, hey, by about the 11th week, we're like, I think we better stop with the ricotta donuts and start doing a few home workouts.
Oh, it was so cute because every time we'd ring Vika, you're like, if you're at the local supermarket, can you grab this? And I think she kept them sort of, in financial for. Yeah.
If I could give a one-word review of this album, I would say uplifting is probably the word, especially considering the lay of the land at the moment. How personally uplifting was it for you both to do this?
It kept us sane. Like Linda said, it kept us, working towards something each week. We had to get out of bed and plan and work. It just kept us positive. It kept us up. And then when we did them, the feedback we got from people was very humbling and moving, and people were really nice to us and said really nice things on Facebook and Instagram, and that was like, okay, well, let's do it again, and they kept us going. So it was really the public that kept us, I think, from sinking into a deep depression.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think for a long time I will look back on this period of our lives and think if that our message from the very outset was always to have that feeling, to spread that feeling, to make it a little bit of a positive, uplifting message. So if that's what people get from it, I think that I'd be very happy with that if I look back over my career that was the message received.
And of course, this hasn't been your only album released this year. You've had your anthology early in the year, which went to number 1, and I think this one is just about there too, just nudging the top of the charts. That must be a wonderful feeling after all these years. Yeah, after all these years achieving that, and you've barely had to leave your house to do it.
Well, that's right, John. We were really happy. We had a number 1 album and a number 2 album in 3 months. So we were like, okay, this is pretty cool. We were really rapt, after how people responded to the anthology. Because, it's right, we hadn't had a record out for about 14, 15 years. And it's true, it all happened during lockdown. And it was like, okay, we were scratching our heads, sort of like, it was pretty cool. We're really, really happy that the public bought the record. We can't thank them enough.
Talk about the logistics of doing the whole thing remotely. Was it difficult to piece together, or did it actually all come together easier than you thought it would?
Oh, look, there was a lot of toing and froing, John. Vika and I spent a long time on Zoom with our manager and our producer, and it was quite involved, long 3-4 hour meetings. And because we couldn't be together, so, music is meant to be shared, but we just couldn't do that. So luckily this group of people understand who Vika and I are and what we want to achieve. So really it was just conversation. So once we kind of got into the heart of the matter of what we wanted the record to sound like, it then took shape very, very quickly. In the studio, it was pretty much first take in and out. The beds that Cameron and Bruce laid were, pretty amazing. The tempos, the keys, he got the feel of what we wanted to achieve on record very successfully. I think he deserves a silver, a gold medal for that.
Yeah, he's obviously played a major role in piecing all this together, and I guess he's gone above and beyond really what he would normally do in the recording situation.
Well, he's a very, very talented musician. He's a beautiful piano player, and he can play guitar, and he was in there, putting, drums down and all sorts of things up there in New South Wales, and it was like, wow, whoa, and he is very creative, and what he was sending down, the files he was sending down, was like, wow, that is just so beautifully played.
Yeah, I think you have to understand lots of different styles of music when you work with Vika and I, because we sing lots of different styles of music.
Yeah.
And gospel's not an easy one to get right, because you can sound kind of like a cheesy cover band, but he is one of those musicians, like Vika said, when he plays on Paul Kelly's albums, you listen back to those records and you hear he's playing really stands out as something really quite nuanced, and I think he's quite brilliant. Yeah, we were lucky to have him.
One thing I love about the record is the balance of songs. There's some really well-known standards that everyone would know and recognise, but some obscure ones as well. Were you conscious of getting that right balance there when you were choosing the material?
Yes, we were very conscious of that. The record company had a lot to do with that too. They said you need to put a couple of standards on that people will recognise. We've got a really great team that we can talk to and value their input, because they know they've got to sell records every day. They know what people want to hear. So we thought, okay, we'll put those on. Amazing Grace, Bridge Over Troubled Water. They had to go on the record, and they're songs that we've sung. Amazing Grace we've been singing for a long time. Bridge Over Troubled Water we've been doing for a couple of years. So, and they're beautiful songs. I think that's probably two of our favourite songs ever. And then Linda's found this sent a beautiful gospel collection that you can explain this bit, Lulu.
Yeah, no, that's true. So our taste tends to be a little bit more left of centre anyway, John. Vika and I are kind of kooky in our taste, I guess. So we trawled through a gospel collection called Goodbye Babylon and found a whole bunch of songs, like 70 or 80, and then whittled that down to about 8 or 9. And that took a while because we all had to agree.
I believe Paul Kelly also had a hand.
Agreed.
Paul Kelly also had a hand, I believe, in directing you to some songs.
Oh yeah, that was the Goodbye Babylon was the collection he gave Vika and I to listen to. So it's a rare collection of about 200 songs from all different artists collated in America, and it's quite hard to get your hands on. But he gave that to Vika and I about 5 years ago. We just had never had a chance to really listen to it. So that's, thanks Paul, because he was responsible for a lot of that. And that's why, apart from loving working with him, that's part of the reason why we wanted to do a duet, because I found one song on there that I thought, he could sing that with Vika and I really well. So that made it to the album.
Linda, your lead on Bridge Over Troubled Water is just sensational. You really nailed that one. And with a song like that where everybody knows the original so well, so universally known, and to put your own stamp on it, how did you approach that?
I didn't want to. I love Art Garfunkel's version, so does Vika, and we decided not to try and mess with that. Aretha does an amazing version too, so I just tried to pay respects to the simplicity of that melody and not try to muck with it too much. Hopefully not get caned for it, because it's a favourite song. But I love that song. I love that song. I think you have to love a song to sing it properly, and I really love it.
Vika, the same can be said of your vocal on Cinnamon, which everyone associates mainly with Nina Simone, who's set the bar pretty high. So can it be a little intimidating at times, taking on material like that, which is so associated with such legendary recordings?
Well, you're not supposed to. As a singer, you're not supposed to touch artists like that.
Yeah.
Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone, because they do put that. It's like they're the greats. And that was some advice Renee gave us when we started singing. She goes, there's one place you don't go, and that's Aretha. No one can touch Aretha, and you shouldn't cover her, do that. And so the same thing for Nina Simone. It's like, well, okay, yeah, because it's true. Cinnamon is her song, It's just the way she sings it, the way she plays it on piano. She's absolutely brilliant. But it's Linda's favourite song, and she wanted me to have a crack at it, and I was very intimidated, actually. But I just thought, okay, I've got to kind of do my own version, but I don't want to stuff with it too much. Same thing. So I just went in and just had a crack, and that's what happened. That what you hear was my first take. What's on the record was my first take, and Linda liked it. She said, "We're leaving it like that. That's it."
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in the studio. I mean, I'll never forget it. It was quite amazing listening to Vika do that, because I could hear she was in a pocket, and when that happens, you know by the first note on the first line, and I just said, "Do not, whatever you do, stop this recording," I said to the engineer. And he just went, "No way, no way."
No, it was a great result. I imagine it's always hard with a new album to select a song as the first single. You went with Ain't No Grave. What are the origins of that song, and was there anything about it in particular that made it an obvious choice as the first one to drop?
That's interesting. I think the record company chose that song on Zoom. They said, "We think that's a ripper." It was because it was written by brother Claude Eli, wasn't it, Vik?
Yeah.
And he was struck down with tuberculosis when he was 12. This is the backstory, John.
Mm-hmm.
But he recovered, and so he thought, "I'll write a song about my recovery." So for all of us, it's about survival, and we thought very fitting for what we're going through now, and what we were going through back then. So they thought, it's not too down, it's up, it's a good message, that'll be the song.
Great version of Jesus on the Main Line, which I guess most people know from the Ry Cooder version. Is that where you both first heard it?
Yep, that's when we both first heard it back in the Black Sorrows days. Peter Luscombe, the drummer, he introduced us to that song, and we liked it. We liked Ry's version of it. It was just quirky.
Quirky
is the word, quirky. Yeah, and we thought, let's put it on the record. A bit of light relief. Because the record is quite heavy. There's a lot of heavy messages there, and it was actually our manager that convinced us to leave it on the record, because we did, to and fro about that one a bit. But she goes, no, you need to. When it comes on, it's like, it is. It's a bit of relief from give your ears a bit of a rest type thing.
Yeah, it's a fun song.
But, it's one of our favourites. It's fun, yes. It's really good fun, and it's got good memories for us too, because it brings back fond memories of after shows with the Black Sorrows. We'd all sing it.
Yeah.
Lots of time in the Tarago singing that
song. One new song on the album, written for you by Casey Chambers, Shallow Grave. Tell us about that one. I believe Casey's done a bit of writing for you recently.
Yes, Casey's a ripper. We love her very much, and are fans of her songwriting. But she sent us this song about 3 years ago in a bunch, amongst other songs, and Vik and I immediately thought, well, this is a really odd song. It's a deep lyrics like Casey does. She seemed to get that, religious terminology in her songs. She gets it without being sort of Bible bashy. I don't know how she uses the language. I like the way she uses religious words, or references the Bible, should I say.
Yeah.
So we thought, okay, that could be then good for a gospel record. And we needed an original, didn't we, Vik?
We did. And I've got to mention too that we should mention that she wrote that song with Harry Hookey. So it was a co-write. They wrote that together, and he's a great songwriter too. And yeah, we wanted an original song on the record. We thought, there's all these gospels. We've got covers from way back in the early 1900s, and then we need something for today that someone's written. And perfect, Casey, perfect timing.
Speaking of songs for today, Memphis Flu is one that could have been written last week, but apparently goes way back decades.
Yeah, I think the 30s they wrote it for the Spanish flu pandemic that swept through the South of America in the 30s. And so, the lyrics are just so apt for what is happening now, and we couldn't believe it, really. It's a pandemic song.
Yeah.
So, we were like, well, is it too graphic? Is it too direct? Will people find it too, like a shot to the heart? But we thought that's what great music does. So it was a bit of a risk for us, but I'm really glad we put it on. I love that song. And we love singing it.
We did tweak the lyrics a little bit, because there were some in there that were a bit or, pointing the finger,
Yeah.
You'll get sick if you don't believe type thing. So we just thought, let's just change that a little bit and make it more appropriate for today. It is quite raw. That song is quite raw.
Yeah.
And you closed with Amazing Grace. Was that a no-brainer for you to finish your gospel album with Amazing Grace?
We always wanted to have a prayer at the end, or like a hymn. And, I was particularly keen to have it as an a cappella version.
Mm-hmm.
And that is hard to do. But because I had done it before, so we thought that, I don't know, I think that the beauty of that song can be overheated a lot of the time with different, choirs and things like that.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs you can do anything to, but I think the simplicity of it is, that's the way we would sing it at home. So we thought, that's how we would do it around the kitchen table. Let's just do it. This is the sort of record it is. Do it that way.
Hey, aside from the music, there's some beautiful church photos in the album packaging too. What can you tell me about those?
They're all photos from our mother's hometown in Tonga, in Vava'u. And we went back there about 2-3 years ago. We took some friends back, and our manager came with us, and she was happily snapping away very quietly around the town. And Linda and I, because we've been to Tonga a few times, and been to Vava'u, quite a bit. And, we just happily walk past the church. There's the church where Mum used to ring the bell. Just, never bothered to take photos before. There's the blah, 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 we're blah, blah, blah. And there's Lisa going, so. And then we make the gospel record. She goes, I've got all these photos. And she drags them out. And we're like, wow, thank God you were there. It was just like meant to be.
Yeah.
So that's Lisa Palermo's work. Yeah, they're all pictures from Vava'u.
It's unusual that someone takes a photo with a theme, takes a collection of photos with a theme. I mean, I just sort of randomly snap anything, but
it's not unusual. It's not unusual, Lily. People do it. It's just that we don't. And
I had a photographer friend of ours, the girl who shot the cover. She said, "I've never seen that before." So I thought, okay, wow.
No, that they've come up really well. Just suits the whole package. I know it's hard to make plans given the sudden state of things, but once all this is over, any thoughts to doing the full-on gospel show on the road?
Yep, we probably will.
Yeah.
We probably will do something. Pardon? If we're allowed to, yeah. If we're allowed to go to the theatre again, sure, John.
Yeah.
We'll be there like a shot.
So this has inspired you somewhat. It's inspired you a bit to go down that gospel path a little further, maybe.
We'd like to do a show like that. I mean, it'd be fun. It'd be great. It'd be a rocking show, and I think we probably will do something like that.
That would be awesome. Yeah. Ladies, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you again. Congratulations on this and all the success that's been coming your way this year.
Thank you, John. Thank you for talking to us again too. It's been lovely to chat.
You are national treasures, the both of you, and we thank you so much for such an uplifting piece of work.
Oh,
thank you so
John.
much, John.
All the best. Take care.
All the best. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.